In this lesson, we're going to learn about Jesus' appearance to some of his disciples on the road to Emmaus. And we're going to be thinking about what we can learn from their experience of this. Now, this account of Jesus appearing to his two disciples shows us how the despair they were feeling from his crucifixion and death changed to happiness when they realised that the rumours they'd been hearing were true and that Jesus was truly alive. Two of Jesus' friends were walking along the road from Jerusalem to a village called Emmaus. They felt sad and confused and talked about all that had happened, how Jesus had died on the cross, how his body had been laid in a tomb, and how the tomb had been found empty 3 days later. While they were walking, Jesus appeared and walked alongside them, but they didn't recognise him. "What are you talking about?" Jesus asked. They looked at him sadly. Then they said, "You must be the only person who has been staying in Jerusalem these past few days and doesn't know what has been going on." They told Jesus about all the things that had happened, how everyone had hoped Jesus would set them free from the Romans, but instead he'd been put to death. They also told him how some women went to his tomb and said it was empty. The women said they'd seen angels who said Jesus was alive. Some of their friends had gone to the tomb and found everything exactly as the women had reported, but there was no sign of Jesus. Jesus said, "Oh, foolish men, why are you so slow to believe that Jesus died and has really risen again?" Jesus explained to them that all this had happened just as the scripture had said it would. And as they listened to him, they began to feel happier. They drew near to the village and they asked Jesus to stay and have supper with them. While they were at supper, Jesus took the bread, blessed it, broke it, and gave it to them. And as he did this, they recognized him. Then he vanished out of their sight. They said to each other, "It was Jesus, he really is alive," and their hearts were filled with joy. They hurried all the way back to Jerusalem to tell Jesus' other friends the good news. We're told that Jesus vanished out of their sight. The disciples could no longer see Jesus, but they knew he was still with them. They believed he would always be with them, and it's the same for us. We cannot see Jesus as we can see other people, but that doesn't mean that he's not actually here. Because he's risen to a new life, Jesus will always be by our side. Now, for your independent activity, you're going to imagine that you are one of Jesus' friends in the story, one of the disciples, and you're going to write down what you're going to tell the other disciples when you return to Jerusalem. Because when they realised that it was Jesus, they raced back to say the good news. So you're going to think about this recount in 4 parts. You're going to think about how you felt leaving Jerusalem. So when you began on that journey to Emmaus. Then you're going to think about what it was like when you suddenly bumped into this person, you started talking to them, not realising it was Jesus. And your third section is going to be having that meal. When you realised that it was Jesus, what was it that gave it away? Why hadn't you realised before? And then I want you to think about returning to your friends in Jerusalem. How are you feeling about being able to tell them that you've actually seen Jesus? Because don't forget, quite a few of the disciples will not have seen Jesus yet. Once you've done that, then I want you to explain why this experience was so important for you and others. So what was it about meeting Jesus that was so important to you as a disciple? So I look forward to reading your recounts.